Some Kind of Happiness by Claire Legrand. Chapter 21. My aunts have Tio drag my cousins out of the house on Tuesday morning, literally, in Dex and Ruth's case. Not even Kennedy's sweet talking can console them. I help Aunt Bridget get Dex and Ruth settled in the car. They will not sit still until I remind them of their impending knighthood, at which point they turn into statues. Once they are buckled in, Aunt Bridget closes the door and lets out a huge sigh. Thank you, Finley. You're welcome. I tell you, I've never seen them like this. Coming over here for days and days at a time. That's certainly never happened before. They usually think Grandma's house is so boring. There's nothing to do here. She'll make us clean. Can we go home yet? But now? You'd think taking them for 2 short days is the end of the world. Aunt Bridget looks like she cannot decide if she wants to smile. She brushes hair out of my eyes, and her fingers are warm against my skin, like Mom's. I try not to lean into her, but I think I might a little bit. You're working some kind of magic on them, Finley. Avery passes by on her way to the garage, wearing her orange paint shorts, a Led Zeppelin t-shirt, and a crooked smile. Black magic, you mean? Aunt Bridget rolls her eyes. Don't mind Avery. She's a teenager. She can't help being obnoxious. I laugh, which feels strange. This is sharp and shiny Aunt Bridget, after all. I know she is angry at Dad. I always wonder if she is angry at me, too. But then Aunt Bridget holds me close and kisses the top of my head. I hear her heartbeat, and I wonder, since we are hearts, if mine sounds just like hers. I'm glad you're here, she whispers, and instead of answering, I press my cheek harder against her chest. When they leave, I run after their car down the long driveway, waving back at Dex and Ruth, until I can no longer keep up. Mom calls at 7:57 on Thursday. She has not called in a few days, and I was not expecting her to tonight, but I guess she felt brave enough to conquer her phone fear today. When her picture pops up on the screen, her freckled face kissing my freckled face, I smile. It's impossible to look at that picture without smiling. Our faces are so squashed and happy in it. If someone found my notebook and read what I have written about my mother, they might think I don't like her very much. Mom snapped at me tonight when I messed up her stack of papers. Then Dad snapped at her for snapping at me, and now they are downstairs yelling at each other. I hate her. Mom's yelling again. I hate it when she's like this. She gets so stressed. I don't know how to talk to her. Mom didn't let me take my notebook with me when we ran errands today. She doesn't get me at all, and I don't get her, and I don't want to. I wonder if Mom is where I get my blue days from. They have to come from somewhere, don't they? I am not sure which idea is more terrifying, that my blue days come from my mother, or that they don't come from anywhere in particular. That there are these toxic clouds floating through the universe, and they thought I was worth latching onto. But when I am with Mom, and she is happy, I feel like I am not simply myself, but a piece of something bigger and stronger. Finley. Even through the phone connection, Mom's voice is a clear, crisp bell. Oh, sweetie. I'm sorry it's been days. I really am. I've been so busy. I sneak downstairs and out onto the green. Grandma has the kitchen windows open while she bakes, and a Jimmy Reed song drifts across the yard with the dragonflies. The freshly cut grass is warm and scratchy on my bare feet. I really feel rotten, baby. But you know how crazy this time of year gets. With Mom, every time of year is a crazy time of year. How are she and Dad possibly talking about anything important if all they do is work? I curl my toes into the grass. It's almost like I can feel the green color seep up through the bottoms of my feet, sleepy and slow, like drinking a glass of water on a hot day. I know, Mom. It's okay. So, tell me everything. How's it going? Mom asks me this whenever we talk, but this time I am not sure how to answer her. My summer has, over the past week, become much more complicated than I anticipated. Fine, I say. But there was a fire and no one talks about it. No big deal. I hear Mom typing on her computer. And how is everyone? She asks. How best to describe the mood at Hart House tonight? From here I can see inside the big living room windows. Dex and Ruth are galloping around on their hands and knees, probably pretending to be unicorns, which is Dex's favorite game. Gretchen is running back and forth between the kitchen and the living room. Each time she comes back, she holds a fresh cookie. Kennedy is braiding Avery's hair, who is braiding Aunt Dee's hair. Stick and Aunt Bridget are dancing to Grandma's music. Aunt Bridget holds a drink. Stick is wearing a glittery paper pirate hat that Ruth made. Uncle Nelson and Grandpa sit in the big leather chairs, trying to watch TV, but I can't imagine they can actually hear it. I grin, watching them. Same as always. Loud. Mom laughs, her real laugh. It is this great big guffaw she tries to hide when she speaks with clients because she thinks it sounds unprofessional. Whenever I make her laugh her real laugh, I feel like I will never have a blue day again. Your dad said Hart House was always a bit of a zoo, she says. I guess that hasn't changed, huh? What else? I feel like. What else? You feel like what? I miss you so much. I feel like I haven't seen you in months, and it's only been, what? 5 weeks. I sit down in one of the swings and push myself back and forth, trying not to think of what the past month has been like for my parents. Did they send me to Grandma's to protect me from whatever is happening at home? Or did they send me away because I was making things worse? For weeks. Ish. Well, feels longer to me. How are you? Really? I'm okay. Really? You would tell me, right? If you were miserable? Yes, I lie. I don't lie about many things, but I always lie about that. There is enough going on in my parents' lives. They don't need to worry about me. I am fine. I should be happy, so I will be. Mom sighs. I'm just checking is all. I'm having fun. Mostly. Oh, honey, you're not still scared of Avery, are you? Mom. I'm not scared of her, but she's 17. We have nothing to talk about. And she's so pretty. So are you, Finley. I roll my eyes. You're my mom. That doesn't count. It does too. It counts double. You sound like Ruth. She thinks she and Dex should get double votes, double ice cream, double everything. She says since they're twins, they have special powers, so we have to keep them happy or else they'll turn to the dark side. She's a little nuts. Mom chuckles. Remind me again. That's Bridget's daughter, right? It still feels strange to hear Mom say Aunt Bridget's name. Yeah. I wonder, if we had been a normal family all this time, would Mom and Bridget be friends? Are you still going on drives with your grandfather? Sometimes. And then I am thinking about the article and Grandpa's face as he read it. Like it was an article not about a fire, but about the end of the world. Does Mom know about the Travers fire? The question begs to be let out, but I don't allow myself to ask it. Not tonight. Who knows when Mom will call again? I dig my toes into the ground so hard. I feel dirt wedged beneath my nails. Act normal, Finley. Nothing is wrong here. Nothing at all. Did you know Grandpa does crossword puzzles too? I ask her. And Uncle Nelson, but he's not as good at them as Dad is. No one's as good at crossword puzzles as your dad. Except for maybe you. But don't tell him I said that. Hearing Mom talk about Dad like everything is the same, like we are at home sneaking pepperonis off Dad's slices of pizza and trying not to burst out laughing, it makes me feel light inside, like I am made of wings, flying up and up. Sometimes I go with Stick when she runs, I continue, but just part of the way. I'm so glad you're getting to spend time with your aunts. What about Dee? Aunt Dee. I don't know. She's nice, but sometimes I think she's afraid to talk to me. She looks at me like, what is it? What do you mean? Like she feels bad for me. Or she wants to say something, but then she decides not to. I see. I pause, drawing circles in the dirt with my toe. She told me she loves Dad. That she always will. Mom goes quiet. I'm sure that's true. My wings slip away from me. I am losing her. Grandpa likes Beethoven, I say quickly. I squeeze my eyes shut. Great. Beethoven. One more thing to remind Mom about Dad. Why can I not think of safer things to say? But Mom just laughs and says, don't you mean Beethoven? I relax against the swing. Yeah, we listen to that a lot and talk about random stuff. There are a ton of cows out where we drive. He's really funny, actually. He's always making these comments, like he always has really good comebacks. But then he can get really serious, too. The other day, he and Gretchen were playing chess, and I literally saw Gretchen sweating. She was so nervous. He's intense. That makes Mom laugh again. I've heard that your grandfather has always been a formidable man. He wears nice pants and shirts every day, even when he's sitting around the house or whatever. Your dad once told me that when he was growing up, they had to change for dinner, Mom says. You couldn't wear sweats or pajamas. You had to put on nice, clean clothes. Dresses for the girls. Slacks for your father. I think of my typical dinner uniform at home, my pajamas. Curled up on the couch. A plate on my lap, and Dad behind me at his desk, and Mom to my left in the kitchen, and something deep in my chest shifts, aching. I push myself back and forth on the swing. That's insane. I'm so glad they don't still do that. It was your grandmother's thing, apparently. She loves things to look nice. Mom pauses. Yes, she certainly does. I think. She kind of scares me. Goodness, why is that? Because she almost fainted in the kitchen last week. Because she does not like to talk about upsetting topics. because most of the time I cannot see past her smile, but when I do, I see someone who is angry and sad and tired. And I am afraid it is somehow because of me. I am afraid I remind her of Dad and whatever he did, because I say I don't know. She wears these pearls all the time, and she's constantly cleaning. She makes us clean too every day. Not normal cleaning, major cleaning, like the president's coming over or something. She cooks every meal, and she does all this volunteer stuff, this clinic and the library and backpacks for kids. And did you know she and Grandpa gave a bunch of money to the city? Like, to the library and the parks and all that. Another pause, longer this time. I did know that, Mom says. Yes, of course. They got to meet the mayor and everything. I didn't know your dad yet, but yes. I remember him telling me about that. Isn't it great of them, Finley, to get involved in their community? Mom has started using her work voice, light and fake and professional, and not Mom at all. I am tired of adults with secrets in their voices. Yeah, I say. It's great. It is like someone has inserted a glass wall between us so we cannot touch each other, and I don't know where it came from, and I hate it. So, Mom says, after a minute, Finley, there's something I wanted to talk to you about before we say goodnight. I twist the swing's ropes. The rough fibers bite into my palms. I bet I know what she wants to talk about. Her. Dad. Her and Dad and me and our house and our things and our family and what will happen next. The fake smiles. The future. I'm not an idiot. I will not listen to one word of it. Behind me a door slams. I turn and see someone running down the hill from the Bailey house to the cluster of trees hiding the post office. Jack. I wave at him. Mom is talking, but I am not listening. I hear words, your father, trying really hard, not working, but I am not listening. I will not, I cannot. I wave and wave at Jack. Jack, Jack, please see me. He whistles like a mourning dove, which is the signal we use when we can't shout, to keep Grandma and Grandpa from hearing. He waves at me to come down, and I can see his smile even in the dark. This late, the Everwood crawls with shapes and shadows, but I am not afraid of them. Those shadows belong to me. I know just how they feel on my skin and in my hair and under my bare feet. My Everwood may have secrets, but it never lies. Not to me. Mom, I have to go, I say, and hang up without waiting for an answer. Late one night, the orphan girl awoke to find herself being blindfolded. Who's there? She demanded. What are your intentions? You'll see, came the voice of the Lady Knight. As she was led through the Everwood, the orphan girl heard others, the champion, the young squires, the 3 rotters. Are you scared? Asked the pirate captain, laughter in his voice. It will take much more than a blindfold to frighten me, said the orphan girl boldly, and she felt pleased when the captain replied, I know. When the blindfold was removed, the orphan girl found herself in the wasteland, the bone house a crooked shadow looming overhead. The captain helped the orphan girl onto a large stump. The others gathered around her in a circle. Orphan girl, the pirate said, we have brought you here tonight to thank you for your bravery, your kindness, and your leadership. Without you, we would not have begun our adventures, and the Rotters would no doubt still be an object of scorn. We have a crown, cried the youngest pirate, who was immediately silenced by the young lady squire, who tackled him to the ground for talking out of turn. The champion, acting quickly, separated them, and then scolded the lady squire for acting so undignified on such an important occasion. We do indeed have a crown, continued the captain, once the moment of chaos had passed. For you, orphan girl, deserve a grander title. You are not simply an orphan girl. You are our queen. Overcome, the orphan girl knelt on her throne. The young squires and the youngest pirate adorned her in necklaces made of paper flowers. The pirate captain gave her a crown, a circle of twigs tied together with vines. It was a perfect fit for the orphan girl's head. But she was an orphan girl no longer. She was a queen. I accept this crown, the Queen of the Everwood declared, and pledge to you, my loyal subjects, that I will do everything in my power to protect you and our Everwood from whatever evil may lurk in the world. The knight blessed the queen's shoulders with her sword. The Rotters crowed their jubilation to the skies. The champion led a dance around the queen's throne. Afterward, the queen told them stories of the Everwood, from the lonely days when she still traveled on her own. The dagger in her pocket shifted, sharpened. The queen felt the prick of its blade, but she ignored it and what it might mean. For the queen, as you can imagine, had never been happier than she was at this moment. She even began to think her great sadness would now, at long last, disappear. Chapter 22. No, no, no. It is happening again. I wake up, unable to move, pinned to my bed by something I cannot name. My sheets are wet with sweat, and so am I. My heart is racing, and so is my mind. I imagine a spool of thread falling from Mom's hands as she sews a button back onto a tufted sofa cushion. The spool rolls away and away, down the stairs, its thread spinning loose faster and faster. That is me right now. I am so close to losing myself. I cannot breathe very well. There is a giant clamp on my chest. I lie still and try to think of what happened on Friday night, my coronation. My cousins surrounding me, dancing in my honor, and Jack placing the crown on my head. Think of that, Finley. Think of that. Focus on those memories. You were happy then, weren't you? You were. So why not now? Why do you feel so heavy now? You are not the Travers family, dead and buried. You are not the Bone House, broken and alone. You live in a mansion with rooms full of people who have declared you to be their queen. But my brain screams this. But you will never be as pretty as Avery, or as brave as Gretchen, or as kind as Kennedy, or as funny and wild as Jack. You are small and strange. You are far from home. You can't stop feeling sad. You are wrong. You are weak. Your parents are getting a train horn howls in the distance. There are tracks near Hart House, somewhere through the woods. I keep hearing the horn, but I have not yet found the tracks. I imagine that I can hear the train's wheels turning, churning, chugging, and then the train's wheels are my heartbeat, and then I hurry toward the bathroom at the end of the hallway, the one I share with Avery. I throw open the toilet seat lid and kneel in front of it. Maybe I need to throw up, but that's not it. I do not know what it is. I know I should be happy and sleeping, but instead I feel like I do not fit in my own body. A door opens. Avery. Finley? Oh, Avery. Why did you have to wake up? I do not want you to see me right now. You cannot know. You cannot understand. I do not understand. Finley. She sits beside me on the floor. Are you sick? I shake my head. What's wrong? I whisper, I don't know. I feel. How to finish that sentence? I feel sad. I feel heavy. I feel itchy and afraid and out of breath, and like my brain is on fire and nervous and guilty for being nervous, and like I am about to cry. Will I be like this forever? I will, I won't, I can't. Please, are you listening? Whoever is in charge of such things? Please do not do this to me. I shake my head. What's going on here? Avery? A new voice. Grandma's voice. Oh no. Grandma, in her peach silk robe, her hair clean and neat and white. So perfect, even at night? How? If Avery wouldn't understand, then Grandma. She might hate me. She might be afraid of me if she knew. If she knew what? What is this? What is wrong with me? She might make me leave, separate me from my cousins. From Aunt Bridget with a heartbeat like mine. Finley's got a tummy ache, says Avery. Probably from all those cookies after dinner. Thank you, Avery. Thank you, thank you. Yeah. I put a hand on my stomach. I think I had like 10, at least. Grandma does not look convinced. She stares at me like I am a spot on her spotless white floor. She is trying to hide it, but I can see. I am not a heart, not to her, not ever. Hearts do not freak out for no reason in the middle of the night. Would you like some medicine? Asks Grandma. Something to calm your stomach? No, that's okay. I'm fine. I'll be fine. She fills a cup with water, gives it to me, feels my forehead, frowns, wipes her fingers on a hand towel, tries to hide the wiping, fails. I see, and I know what that means. I do not blame her. I would not want to be contaminated by me either. Drink up, she says. I'm sure you'll feel better in the morning. No, I won't. Okay, I never feel better. Not even now that I am queen. Thanks, Grandma. Sorry to wake you up. It isn't any trouble. Wake me if you have trouble getting back to sleep, all right? As if I would ever bother her like that. Once Grandma has gone back to bed, everything is quiet. I can feel Avery looking at me, but I ignore her because I am so humiliated. I want to melt into the floor. And I still cannot breathe quite right. I am still sweating and still shaking, and I know what I look like right now because I have often examined myself in the mirror during such moments. I look pale, sick, hollowed out. Avery does not seem to care that I am ignoring her. She scoots closer and pulls me into her arms, and even though I am sweaty, even when I start to cry, she holds on tight. Chapter 23. What do you do when you wake up in the middle of the night, in a house that is not yours, and lose yourself to the strange sadness and fear inside you worse than you ever have before, and humiliate yourself in front of your most terrifying family members. If you're me, you sleep a lot. On Sunday, I think maybe around lunchtime, Gretchen tiptoes into my dark room. Finley? She sits on the bed, where I lie under a mountain of blankets. Are you okay? Grandma said you got sick last night. If only it were some kind of sickness. Maybe I could take medicine or undergo a radical, experimental surgery. Something to cut the sickness out. But it isn't that. It is sadness. No reason to be sad. So many rational, listable reasons to not be sad. I know I have listed them, and yet it remains inside me. Yeah, I mumble. Too many cookies. Oh, I've totally done that before. Grandma's cookies are so good and yet so very evil. I think the more of them you eat, the more of them you have to keep on eating. Like a curse. Maybe she got the recipe from one of the Everwood witches. That sounds like something they would do, right? Or maybe Grandma is a witch. She's not a witch, I say into my pillow. She's too clean. Gretchen scoots closer to me. Hey, really, are you okay? Do you need me to bring you something? More blankets? A sadness extractor, freshly sharpened? Do you ever have bad days? I ask her. Sure. Mom says that's when you get up on the wrong side of the bed. So you feel sad? Yeah, I guess. But I just go outside or run around or Mom does something doofy and I feel better. I see. Then our bad days are not the same. On my bad days, running around or going outside or being doofy changes nothing. My sadness still sticks in me like a sword. Gretchen pokes me. You think you'll be okay for the fireworks tomorrow? The 4th of July. My summer here is half over. Yeah. I'm just tired. Jack left a note at the post office. Says he wants to go to the Bone House tonight. He says he likes cleaning. He's incredibly weird. I know I should want to go too. After all, I am the queen. It was my idea to start cleaning up the Bone House to make it back into a home. I found the photograph. I led myself and Gretchen into the wasteland that first day. I have a responsibility to my forest, to my people, and part of me does want to go, truly. But the rest of me sinks lower into the mattress at the thought of having to get out from under these covers. The idea of even moving my hand to touch Gretchen is overwhelming. It is much, much easier to stay still. Until I have recovered from last night is all. Just until then. As Mom would say after a particularly stressful day, I need more time to recover my equilibrium. There isn't anything wrong with that, is there? You'll feel better by then, right? Asks Gretchen. Maybe I say. I'll try. I'm going to nap for a while. Well, we'll be outside. Dex wants to paint the walls inside the tower, and I think we should let him so Kennedy doesn't pull her hair out. That's okay with you. The painting or Kennedy pulling her hair out? Gretchen snorts. Now that's funny. Feel better, okay? I think that might not be an option for me. I will. I pretend to yawn. Thanks, Gretchen. Then she is gone, and I am alone, which is what I wanted, but it doesn't make me feel any better. I wake up later and dig out my phone from underneath my pillows. I find Dad in my recent contacts. My thumb hovers over the call button. But what would I say? Dad, I am freaking out for no reason. Dad, I am pretending I am sick today so I don't have to talk to anyone. Dad, I hurt and I don't know why. But then what? Then he would come and get me, and I would have to be at home with him and Mom and their problems. Am I one of their problems? I cannot be one of their problems. I will not allow it. I slide the phone underneath the pillows and wrap myself back in my blankets. It will go away on its own, whatever this is. It has to. I will make it go away. Even sad people have to eventually leave their beds for the most basic reason, hunger. I have missed lunch, but there are sandwiches in the refrigerator. I eat only because I know I must eat. But it isn't like I want to die. I have heard of such things as suicidal thoughts. Sometimes I have even examined my sadness with that in mind. Are these suicidal thoughts? Do I want to die? No. Do I want to hurt myself? No. I am simply sad. So it isn't that. But when I eat this ham and cheese sandwich, I am eating it like a car consumes gasoline. I am not sure I actually taste it. There is bread, cheese, ham, mayonnaise. I am a machine obeying my programming. Chew, 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 swallow. The house is quiet. Afternoon light pours in through the sunroom and warms my toes. I hear someone moving around in the garage and peek out the window. Avery, painting, earbuds in, bandana tied around her head. I cannot ever tell what she is painting. They aren't pictures, really. They are more like the floating things you see when you close your eyes. Colors and shapes and thick brush strokes that cut the whole thing in two. My hand rests on the doorknob. Should I apologize for what happened last night? Sorry for crying all over your shirt. Sorry for being gross and sweaty. Sorry you lied for me. Sorry for being such a freak, Avery. I cannot do it. I am too frightened. So I wander. I could go outside. Every now and then I hear one of my cousins shouting. But shouting and sunshine and having to talk and answering questions. How are you feeling? Are you okay? Did you eat something? Did you throw up? The prospect is overwhelming. So I wander through the quiet, cool house. The carpet is white. The walls are dark. The furniture is polished. The piano in the corner of the living room is old. I press my fingers to random keys. I don't know the first thing about playing music, but it seems like the keys I press make a song anyway, which makes me feel a little better. I even start to think that maybe I will go apologize to Avery. She would understand, right? She seemed to understand last night. But then I hear a strange sound, like someone crying out in pain. It is coming from the hallway leading to Grandma and Grandpa's bedroom. I have never been to that part of the house, but concern for my grandmother, as much as she terrifies me, pushes me forward. I don't think Grandpa is home. He is probably gone for one of his drives. What if something is wrong with Grandma? I am the only one around. I sneak down the hallway. It is colder and darker than the rest of the house. Family pictures line the walls, but I don't see Dad in any of them. They are all of my aunts, their husbands, their children. I feel like a shadow in this dark hallway, like I do not entirely exist. Maybe this moment will change things. I will save Grandma from whatever is distressing her and prove myself worthy of her. She will no longer look at me like I am a spot to be cleaned. She will take pictures of me and add them to this wall right beside my cousin's. I feel a tiny tug of happiness inside me. Then I step into her bedroom and I see Grandma sitting at her vanity, her eyes red. Grandpa holding a syringe to her arm, injecting her. Grandma adjusting her hair, which moves all in one piece, sliding across her scalp. And I understand that is not her real hair. It is a wig, medicine, a wig clean and white and smooth. I was not supposed to see this. They turn and stare at me. I must have made a sound. Grandpa sits on the bed and rubs a hand over his face. Oh, Finley. Grandma stares at me, her lips drawn tight. I was not supposed to see this. Was not. I'm sorry, I whisper and turn and run. Chapter 24. I run outside because IT is the only safe place I can think of to go. My cousins, they will know what to do. They can explain to me what I have just seen. I bypass the stone steps and slide down the dirt wall of the pit. The tower, there it is. There they are, painting. Ruth and Bennett have green, deck-sized handprints in the center of their faces. They grin at me from their spot in the dirt. Kennedy has blue paint in her hair and looks exasperated, but less so when Cole puts his hand on hers. Gretchen is trying to explain to Dex how the spaceship he has painted cannot be as big as the sun Gretchen has painted. It is technologically impossible. Kennedy says he can paint whatever he wants, you weirdo. And Jack is staring over my shoulder, a paintbrush in his hand. Someone is following me. I turn. Grandpa hurrying down the stone steps with storm clouds on his face. Staring at Jack. Staring at Cole, holding Kennedy's hand. Baileys. My dad's words return to me. The Baileys, their dad, he wasn't a good kid. He did bad things. He's not safe to be around, and if he has kids now, I'd bet they're not much different. I wouldn't trust them for anything. Okay, but you're wrong, Dad. I'd trust Jack in a heartbeat. Okay, Finley? Grandpa is speaking. Finley. I flinch. Grandpa's voice sounds even sharper than it did in the car when he threw the article out the window. Yes, you and Kennedy take your cousins back to the house. Gretchen protests. But, Grandpa, I don't want to hear it. Get back in the house right now. Dex begins to cry. Kennedy hurries away with him and Ruth. After a second, Gretchen goes with them. I cannot leave. I am afraid for Cole and Bennett, and for Jack. I have never seen Grandpa look like this. He is red in the face, and his eyes are made of metal. Where's my grandpa who loves Beethoven? Where's my grandpa who looks like Dad and builds tree patios and knows how to pick out the perfect batch of strawberries? What the hell do you think you're doing? He spits at the Baileys. You know you are to never come near this house, this property, or any of my grandchildren. Hearing Grandpa say hell is like hearing a clap of thunder. Sir, Jack says, let me explain. I don't want an explanation. I want you to get home. Now. Bennett bursts into tears, but this changes nothing. Grandpa's face is made of stone. Grandpa, please, it was my fault, I say. I invited them over. Grandpa whirls around, his arm raised. and for an instant I think he is going to hit me. Jack runs over and shoves Grandpa away from me. Grandpa pauses, staring at me like he can't believe what is happening. His eyes are wide. He is breathing hard. He lowers his hand, looks at it like it is not his own. I grab Jack's hand and put myself in front of him. Grandpa won't hit me. He won't hit me. He won't. Grandpa, please, I say. I'm sorry. They'll go home. Okay. I squeeze Jack's hand. He squeezes mine back. Get out of here, Grandpa says quietly. None of us move. Get out. The Baileys run, Bennett crying in Cole's arms. Jack looks back once, over his shoulder. Now it is just me and Grandpa and the empty tower. Grandpa stares at it for a long time and then rips down the Everwood banner. Cole's signature is obvious in the bottom corner. I'm sorry, hush, Finley. You've done enough. But they didn't do anything. You don't know anything about those boys or their family. They're not the kind of people we associate with. Grandpa stares at the Bailey house for a long time, and I recognize the look on his face. I have seen it many times on my own. Grandpa, why are you afraid? I cannot believe he would hurt me. But would he have hurt my friends? Not my grandpa, not him, not him. Get yourself back inside, he says, and don't you tell anyone, what you saw today. I mean it, Finley. Do not test me on that. He does not have to be more specific. I will never forget what I saw in his and Grandma's bedroom and what it could mean. Avery stands at the top of the pit. She must have heard the noise. She watches me as I hurry up the stone steps and rush into the house, but she doesn't say anything. I am glad. There are too many terrible things I could say if I had to open my mouth and answer her. Grandma is sick. I hate Grandpa. There are no pictures of me on the wall outside their bedroom. To them, I do not really exist. No one makes me come down for dinner. Perhaps they do not want me there. Fine. That is just fine with me. I will lie here in my bed with the window open and listen to the trees talking to me, and they will tell me everyone's secrets, and when I finally go downstairs, I will know everything there is to know, and no one will be able to frighten me. Not even Grandpa. Not even Grandma. No one. I cuddle my pillow, the one I brought from home. It smells like our apartment. Someone knocks on my door. I do not answer. Finley? It is Grandpa. My heart pounds itself back to life, but I do not move. He cracks open the door and steps inside. I owe you an apology, he says quietly. I'm sorry I frightened you. I frightened me. I do not answer. But you can't see those boys anymore. All right, Finley. I won't budge on that, and neither will your grandmother. The clock on my nightstand ticks, ticks, ticks. If I do, you won't. Grandpa interrupts. If I do, Finley, will you make everyone stop talking to me like Grandma did to Dad? Tick, 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 tick. Good night, Finley, says Grandpa. His voice is a closed door. When he's gone, I close my eyes and listen to the trees talking. What do I do? I ask them. What do I do? What do I do now? Then I lie very still and wait for an answer. One morning, the Queen of the Everwood awoke to a dark sky. The trees around her were completely bare. She lay on a nest of brittle, gray leaves. Everything she touched crumbled to ash. She drew her cloak about her and shivered. Someone, somewhere was watching her. "Hello," she called out into the gloom. "Your friends are not here," came a low voice. There was a fluttering of wings, a soft, cold breeze against the queen's skin. A crow landed on a nearby branch, its feathers as sharp as its black beak. The queen reached for the pocket where she kept the dagger. It was empty. The crow watched coldly. "What do you want?" asked the queen. "I want you to leave here," replied the crow, "and never come back." "Leave?" "Leave the Everwood." The crow inclined its shining head. "But why?" "I am the queen." "Queen?" The crow let out a small, rough laugh. "A crown does not make a queen." "But they chose me." "Who did?" "Your friends?" "Of course they did. They don't know what you carry inside you." The queen bristled. "And you do. Only you can truly know." "Then what are you doing here? If you're not going to help me, leave." Howls, hungry and fierce, made the queen whirl. She expected to see bared teeth and glowing eyes, but she saw only trees bending in the wind. Gray leaves fell. The air smelled of smoke. The crow perched on the queen's knee. "Child," it said, "they are coming." "Who? How can I stop them?" With its beak, the crow pulled aside the queen's collar. There, over her heart, beneath her skin, roiled a shifting darkness. The queen recoiled. "What is that?" "You know better than I do," said the crow. Then it pecked her chest, and with each strike it drew out strings of darkness like tar from a pool. The queen shuddered to look at this thing inside herself. She hated the sight of it. When the crow began to gasp and heave, she shoved it away. Its feathers cut her fingers. "It's hurting you," said the queen. "Please stop." "It hurts me only because you are fighting me," explained the crow. "Do not be afraid of yourself. We are all both light and dark. We are both joy, and this darkness is not me," snapped the queen. "You know not of what you speak." The crow regarded her calmly, and the pity on its face was too much for the queen to bear. She turned away. "Leave me," I said. "You know nothing." "I know we might already be too late," said the crow, and it glided away into the night. Chapter 25. What it means to be a heart. You look pretty even after sprinting across a forest. You look completely unaffected even when you are up to your eyeballs in garbage that smells like feet and rotten eggs. If something is wrong with you, it must be fixed. On the 4th of July, Dex cracks under pressure. Upon questioning him, Aunt Bridget discovers that on top of befriending the Baileys, we have also been visiting the Bone House. When she tells Grandma and Grandpa, I am standing right there in front of them. Aunt Bridget shoots me concerned looks I can see out of the corner of my eye, but I do not look back at her. Traitor. I thought she loved me, and here she is, ruining everything. Walking in on Grandma's shot was bad, but this is worse. Grandma does not get angry or make threats. She smooths down her shirt and says, I'm so disappointed in you that I can hardly think. Finley. Candace, hold on. Grandpa begins. She doesn't know. Go upstairs to your room right now. Grandma turns away as though she cannot stand looking at me. We'll speak about this later. But we don't speak about it. Not that night, watching the fireworks in town. Everyone laughing, everyone gasping and pointing, except for me. Except for Grandma and Grandpa. Not the next night either. What it means to be a heart. If something is wrong with you, it must be fixed. Quietly, it has been decided that, considering recent events, something really ought to be done about me. It's not that I am a bad kid, but I am problematic. I hear Grandma say so. Over the next couple of days, Hart House is full of whispers. Before Finley came, our grandchildren never associated with white trash like the Bailey boys. They would never have even thought of it. Before Finley came, our grandchildren would never have wandered off into those dangerous woods. All the way back to that house, can you believe it? That house is obviously the Bone House. For some reason, Grandma and Grandpa speak about it in code words, but it's obvious what they mean. But why wouldn't they just say the Travers House? Why do they not speak about my heroic aunts? The Hart Girls. Wonder Woman ×3. Did you know? I found Finley in the bathroom the other night, crouching in front of the toilet. She said it was a stomachache, but I don't believe her. How can you believe someone who has been sneaking her cousins off into the woods like a bunch of delinquents? Do you think she got into the liquor? Those Bailey boys might have put her up to it. I wouldn't put it past them. That notebook of hers, if she's not dragging her cousins through the woods, she's making lists in her notebook. She has pages and pages of them. Isn't that a bit obsessive? Doesn't she strike you as somewhat troubled? Gretchen says Finley writes in her notebook to keep from being sad. What does that mean? Sad about what? Has she said anything to you? Why doesn't she say anything? She's so different from us. Louis was always quiet too, and look what happened with him. He left us. He was never like the rest of us. I think it would be best if plus it would get her out of her head, and we should keep the other kids away from her for a while, don't you think? It's for the best. It is meeting with a children's psychologist once a week. All I know about psychologists is that they treat people who have something wrong with their brains. 12-letter word for Freud, for example. On Thursday, Grandma sits in Grandpa's office and tells Dad about the situation over the phone. I sit in the hallway outside the closed glass doors and watch her, trying to read her lips. I hope this makes her uncomfortable. After 10 minutes, Grandma opens the door. Your father wants to speak with you. I take the phone. Dad? Finley, sweetheart, what were you thinking? My eyes fill up with tears. What do you mean? The Baileys, Finn. I told you not to be friends with them. I told you your grandparents wouldn't like it. I can practically hear him running his hand through his hair over and over. Dad, I'm sorry, but we didn't do anything wrong. We were playing. And taking your cousins to some strange house late at night? The Bone House isn't strange. It's just lonely. There's a pause so long and heavy that I feel it against my skin. I know, Finn. Dad says at last. I know. Grandma and Grandpa think I should go see a psychologist. Another sigh. Yeah, she told me. Do you think that would help? Help what? Your mom and I will drive down and come with you. No, I am not broken. No, I am not one of their problems. I start pacing. I want to kick Grandpa's books off the shelves. There's nothing wrong with me. Nobody's saying that, but maybe talking to someone will help you figure out some things. We've been thinking for some time now that it might be a good idea for all of us to go together. Maybe this is some kind of sign. Like what? Help me figure out what things. Like your notebook. What's wrong with my notebook? Your grandma says you write it in constantly. Not that much. And it's not like she watches me 24/7. I bet she will know. You can also talk to the counselor about me and your mom. Anything you might be feeling in that regard. We can all talk together. Stop using your professor voice, Dad. We can drive down next week now. All of a sudden, my heart goes wild with panic. I won't listen to what they have to say. They won't come here. They can't. Because that might mean they are done talking. That they've worked out everything they could work out. Because that will mean, if you come down here, I tell him I won't go. I swear I won't. Dad switches off like a radio. I stare out the office window at the Everwood trees. They pull at me. I tap the glass. Hello, trees. Your mom and I think it might help, Dad says quietly. We'll let you go alone, if that's what you want. But when you come home, maybe we can go with you. What do you say? I know this is a hard summer for all of us, not for me. I'm having tons of fun. Then I hang up. Chapter 26. The day of my first appointment arrives. I will have one every Tuesday afternoon at 3 o'clock. Last night, instead of sleeping, I looked up Dr. Bristow's patient reviews online. I had to sneak down to the computer in Grandpa's office because Grandma took my phone from me. I am not allowed to use it except for my nightly calls with Mom and Dad. Grandma says the internet is toxic. Instead, I should help her clean these pans. Let's bake. We have run out of cookies. We must be normal now. Dr. Bristow's ratings are high. I do not think my grandparents would associate with a doctor who had bad reviews. Before we leave, Grandma presents me with a sundress to wear to my appointment. Her fingernails are a pale, polished pink. You always wear those baggy t-shirts, she says to me. I thought this would be a nice change. The dress is pretty, white with pale blue stripes, but it is inappropriate for the Everwood. The only queens who wear gowns are queens who live in palaces and hold court in shining halls. Queens who live in forests and run wild with pirates must choose more practical attire for combat, for exploration. But what do queens do when everything has been taken from them, when their world is changing? Queens hold their heads high. When I am dressed, Grandma stands behind me and sweeps my hair up into a knot. Together we look in the mirror. You look lovely, Finley, she says. You even look a little bit like me when I was your age. When she was my age, in a house with not very much love, not very much money. Now there is a reason to be sad. I stare at our reflection. I wonder if Grandma is erasing the old image of Finley Hart in her mind and replacing it with this Finley in the sundress, who is trying her best to achieve a magazine smile, who is seeing a psychologist because she is a spot who must be cleaned, who looks like her grandmother once did. The dress feels stiff around me, like I'm wearing folded cardboard, but I sit quietly in the car while Grandma drives me. Grandma, driving me. She is skipping her afternoon nap to take me to this place. She looks very thin in the driver's seat. I suppose it is tiring to be sick, to be hiding you're sick. It is certainly tiring to hide what's happening from my cousins. They know nothing about my appointments, and I would prefer to keep it that way. They think the adults have decided we need more structure to our summer, and that's why we have basically been grounded from playing outside. That's why my cousins haven't been coming over to Hart House as much over the past few days, only showing up for a dinner or lunch here and there. So we don't run off and do things like befriend pirates and explore dangerous old houses. So we can be hearts. Hearts who follow rules. Hearts who do not associate with people like the Baileys. If my cousins find out what's really going on, what will they think of me? I am not a liar, and yet here I am lying. I will lie forever if I have to. My cousins and the Baileys can never, ever know the truth. How do I feel about all of this? I feel nothing. I feel like I have been in a very hard sleep, and now I am stumbling around trying to wake up. Wake up, Finley. Be normal now. We pass the road that leads to the farm stand where Grandpa and I buy our strawberries. My heart tears open. I'm so proud of you, Finley, Grandma tells me. I think this will be good for you. I am not sure how to respond. It will. Absolutely. This will get everything back to normal, you see? A normal summer. Because we mustn't be anything but normal, we hearts. She cleans a crumb off my cheek. How do I feel? Angry. Alone. Small. Stiff. Have either of my grandparents talked to me about what I witnessed in their bedroom? They have not, and I have been too afraid to ask. What it means to be a heart. If something terrible is going on, you must try to not ever talk about it. Grandma and I step into the waiting room. Pale green walls, stacks of magazines, soft piano music playing in the background. The room is full of kids, some older than me, some younger, some with parents, some without. Some look happy, some don't. But then, I know very well about the lies you can find on people's faces. Grandma fills out forms, and we sit and wait. I hook my feet around the legs of my chair. Beside me, Grandma is motionless except for one finger, tapping on her knee. Her dress is covered in tiny flowers. She clears her throat. I hope you have a good time today. Good time. I only mean, I hope it's helpful. I stare at the floor. The carpet is made up of 1,000,000 different shades of blue. Thanks. I don't need help. I hope so too. I don't need help. There is nothing here to help. I have fixed it. I will fix it. We're lucky, Grandma says, that we can afford to bring you here. She rearranges the folds of her dress. Have you thought about that? Yes, I say quietly, which is true. When I looked up Dr. Bristow on the internet, I saw how much it costs to come here. I hear the news. I see things in the newspaper that aren't crossword puzzles. I don't understand everything, but I understand some things. Not everyone could come to this place. A lot of people could not. What a lucky girl you are, Finley Hart. How lucky we are to be able to afford this place, this food, these clothes. So get it together, Finley. Grandma folds my hand into both of hers, and we wait together. The air conditioning is on so high, my skin is covered in goosebumps. I feel a little sick. The pastoral symphony cycles through my head. I almost beg her to return to the car. Can't we listen to Beethoven instead? Beethoven. It's funnier that way. It's okay, Grandma says quietly. Everything is fine now. Is she talking to herself or to me? The Baileys are our friends, that's all, I whisper. Grandma doesn't answer. She says, maybe we'll go shopping tomorrow. What do you think? Finley Hart. A smiling woman enters the room. She is dressed sensibly and has dark, curly hair. I recognize her from the pictures I found online. Dr. Bristow. She waves at me. You ready to come on in? I guess. We stand. Grandma says, Avery will pick you up in an hour. Oh, please join us, Mrs. Hart, suggests Dr. Bristow. We recommend, if it's all right, we'd like to let Finley speak with you alone today, just to get things started. Grandma places her soft hands on my shoulders, warming me up. If that's all right. This does not surprise me. I heard what Grandma said the other night in the kitchen. Once she thought I had gone to sleep. Finley has made such a mess of things. I suppose I am responsible for cleaning it up. The couch frightens me. I know what it means. I have seen enough television shows. I am supposed to sit on this couch and tell Dr. Bristow about what's troubling me. But if I do that besides, there are too many things troubling me. Where would I even begin? I can't begin. No one can know about the Blue Days. They are mine. They are my secret, mine and my notebooks. No one can know. No one can ever know. If anyone found out, what would they say? I know. Oh, but you should feel lucky to live in that beautiful house with those beautiful people. Did you know your grandparents gave lots of money to the town of Billington? The library wouldn't even be here without their contribution. Such wonderful people. You don't seem to be at all like them. Just breathe. Finley. Don't let them see. Finley? I blink. Dr. Bristow is sitting on the edge of her desk, sipping at a cup of coffee. Do you want to sit down? You don't have to, of course. But I promise you this, it's a freakishly comfortable couch. A patient actually fell asleep on it once. All right, I can handle sitting down. But every step I take fills my body with crashing waves of fear. Building, 100 Finleys screaming through 100 different megaphones. I perch on the edge of the couch, ready to run if necessary. Dr. Bristow smiles. I'm so glad you've decided to sit. Because if you didn't, I'd stay standing too, and my feet are killing me. She slides into her chair and then pops right back up. Oh, do you want something to drink? I've got water in my fridge over here. The idea of drinking water right now nauseates me. I shake my head. I cannot possibly open my mouth, not even to say a simple no. I must keep myself held tightly together, straight up and down, like someone has stuffed me into a too small bag and zipped me up. If I move too much or say even one word, the zipper will burst open and I will fall out. No one wants to see that. It won't bother you if I drink my coffee, will it? I shake my head again. Dr. Bristow takes another long sip of coffee, and I examine her, perhaps Mom's age. Eyes as dark as her hair. Do you like it here in Billington? Dr. Bristow says. I didn't think I would, but I did. For a while. I say nothing and shrug. Dr. Bristow sorts through files on the table beside her. She does not seem to be in a hurry. I like it all right, but I've got to confess something. If it weren't for my husband, no way would I live in a small town like this. I'm a city girl. I've lived in Billington 10 years now, and the quiet still freaks me out. I'm from the city too. I live in an apartment with my parents. For now, I stare at the floor. But that's what happens when you fall in love, I guess. You end up doing stupid things like spending too much on wedding cake and moving out to the middle of nowhere. Please don't talk about love. My parents, I stare at my shoes. They're freckled with everwood mud. Then I cannot see the mud anymore and realize my tears are blurring everything out. Dr. Bristow sets down her coffee mug. Hey, Finley? I am not afraid. I am afraid. I am not sad. I am full of sadness, but I do not understand why. I will push and push on these thoughts until they are nothing. Dr. Bristow never has to know. I think of Grandma, her wig sliding, hiding in the bedroom, sleeping for hours, getting injections, what it means to be a heart. You are excellent at keeping secrets. You know, I've got lots of work to do, says Dr. Bristow from a great distance. If you want to sit there and relax for a while, we can try to talk again in a few minutes. You're in the driver's seat here. How unexpected. I'm sure that is not how this is supposed to work, right? Dr. Bristow smiles at me. Promise. Okay, but this is not how you clean up a mess. It cannot be. I should be saying something to her. Grandma and Grandpa and Mom and Dad are paying Dr. Bristow to fix me. But it can't be so bad to sit here, just for today. Can it? Dr. Bristow winks at me. Comfiest couch in the world. I do not smile. I am still afraid of moving too much. But I can sit and breathe. Fine. Dr. Bristow moves to her desk and begins to type on her computer. 5 minutes pass before I feel comfortable enough to relax my shoulders, and when I do, they ache as though someone has been driving hot needles into my bones. I find the clock on the wall, watch the second hand, and wait. Tick, 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 tick. The Queen explored the white halls of the great castle, gliding from gallery to ballroom to terrace. She drifted into a strange museum, somewhere in the heart of the castle. In this museum, people gazed at priceless artifacts kept in pillars of glass. The people wore jewels and thick white powder on their faces. Whispers followed the Queen wherever she went. The museum people stared after her. The Queen's skin crawled with fear. What do you suppose went wrong? They whispered. I thought this orphan girl was to become queen and save us. I must have read the signs wrong, came a cold voice. For this girl is nothing like what I thought. The queen whirled to find the voice. The smooth white statue she had passed only moments ago turned its creaking head. Its blank white eyes turned blue and dazzling. Despite her fear, the Queen held her head high. Who are you? I am one of the ancient guardians of the Everwood. The Queen wanted to flee, but she did not. I am the Queen of the Everwood. Not anymore, said the ancient guardian. The curve of her stone head melted into a fall of white hair that reached the ground, and in her hand she held an ancient brass key. The Queen ran until she entered a hall of mirrors, and soon she got turned around. Everywhere she looked, She saw reflections of herself, but they were all wrong. She saw a blinking light and thought it might point the way to freedom. Turning corner after glass corner, she followed the light for hours. When she at last stumbled into a dark room with one small window, she realized that the light was merely a flickering candle in a dim corner. She turned to flee, but the path of mirrors had disappeared. Instead, she saw a heavy wooden door, and she heard in its lock the turn of a key. Chapter 27. Now playing. Supervised movie night. I imagine the words flashing over the front door of Hart House in bright lights, like at an old-fashioned movie theater. It has been 12 days since Grandpa found us with the Baileys. 12 days since I saw Grandma crying while Grandpa injected her with a syringe. I peek out the curtains to watch my aunt's cars pull around the circular driveway. Do they orchestrate such things, or are they so in sync that they arrive together without even trying? What it means to be a heart. You know instinctively when you are supposed to do something, especially when it involves other hearts. Approximately 15 seconds after Stick parks her car, Gretchen barrels into my room, jumps onto my bed, and yanks me into a hug. So, these past couple of weeks, yeah, they've sucked. Agreed. Gretchen releases me and sits up. So what's been going on? What do you mean? I mean, what have you been doing without us around? Almost 2 whole weeks without the Everwood? Ugh. I miss the darn trees. And wow, never thought I'd say that sentence. Anyway, I've been dying of boredom, in case you're interested. But I complained about it so much that Mom decided we needed a project, and now the kitchen is painted. So, yippee. I say nothing about my appointment with Dr. Bristow. I don't know. I didn't do much, really. Helped at the clinic a couple of times. Went shopping with Grandma. Got some new dresses. Oh, where are they? I nod at the closet. Like 6 of them. Gretchen takes one look at the dresses and scowls. Barf. What are you, some chick from the 50s? Grandma said I looked like her. I actually kind of like dresses, you know. Yeah, but you can't wear dresses in the Everwood. She should have gotten new hiking boots. Or a safari hat. I don't think we can go to the Everwood anymore. Well, this whole grounded thing, blah blah blah, it's not, like, forever. They're just being stupid about the Baileys. But after tonight, I bet, seriously, Gretchen, they don't want us back there anymore. Grandpa told me this is for real. Gretchen stares at me. Not even in the tower. Maybe, but I mean, they'll be watching us from now on. We can't go wandering off anymore. They'll think we've abandoned them. Who? I know who. Frank and Joy and Cynthia? The Travers family, come on. I try to care about what Gretchen is saying, but I am so tired. Maybe now she and my cousins can care about the Everwood for me. They never seem to get tired like I do. Maybe we should abandon them. We could leave them to rest in peace. Gretchen's face hardens. Finley Hart, you don't mean that. We're not finished cleaning the house yet. The Queen did not want to abandon the lonely wizard ghost and his family. But with the Everwood so changed, with the unending howls coming at night, the Queen knew that whatever came next, it could not involve her friends. They were safer without her. She could not risk the ancient guardian's wrath. So the queen held her head high and endured her dark prison. Queens, she told herself, are not afraid of sacrifice. Finley? Hello? Finley. I jump when Gretchen flicks my knee. Huh. Space Cadet. I said we can't let the Baileys clean everything on their own. I wonder what Jack has been doing since Grandpa yelled at him, what he has been thinking. Does he understand that none of this is our fault? I hear movement on the stairs and jam my notebook under my pillows. Grandma can dress me and watch my every move, but she will never get her hands on my notebook. Dex and Ruth race into my room and start jumping up and down. Free Willy! Free Willy! They scream. Oh God, have mercy, you tyrants. Gretchen collapses into a heap on the floor. They've started this whole whale obsession thing. To torture me, obviously. She lifts her head up and growls at the twins. What about Peter Pan? Or The Great Mouse Detective? Or, I don't know, any other movie in the world. Ruth crouches down and shouts in Gretchen's face, wails. Hey, oh, kiddos. Uncle Nelson yells up the stairs. Rugrats. Little rascals. Snot faces. You. Dex and Ruth squeal. Come on, we're starting the movie. This is cruel and unusual punishment, Gretchen complains. I'm starting to see this movie in my dreams. And what do you think you'd see in your dreams if Grandpa made you clean the toilets with a toothbrush? Uncle Nelson calls back. Poop dreams. Ruth shrieks. Dex tugs us toward the door. Hurry, 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 hurry. As Gretchen stomps down the stairs, she whispers to me, we are not finished talking about this, Finley. Meet me in the kitchen at 9:30. Say you need a glass of water or something. We'll discuss. I nod. Okay, sure. But I already know I will not. At 9 o'clock, I claim to have a headache and am allowed to escape to my bedroom. All the way to the stairs, I can feel Gretchen watching me. She probably feels betrayed. I cannot blame her. But she will see soon enough that it is safer for me to stay away from her, from all of them. I am a bad influence. I am a stubborn stain on a white rug. Besides, I really do have a headache. I have had one all week. Instead of sleeping, I listen to it pound and I count the booms. Tick, 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 tick. The queen sat locked away. The poison inside her was spreading, and she worried it would never stop. A crow-shaped shadow darkened her window, but when she went to look, all she could see was fog, thick and deadly like smoke. It seeped through the walls of the great castle and settled in the queen's blood. It sat heavily on the branches of the everwood trees and coated the abandoned watchtower with gray slime. The air in the everwood turned rancid and sour. With every breath she took, the queen's lungs burned. Whatever wickedness lay at the heart of the everwood, whatever had been turning the trees gray and drying out their leaves, was getting worse. The queen peered out her window. She sifted through the fog with her fingers, as if she could push it out of the way. I must find the source of this cloud, said the queen. I can clear the everwood. I can heal it. I can. But the more desperately the queen clawed through the air, the more a sharpness in her chest tugged, sending spikes of pain through her body. She looked down, gasping, and saw thin spools of darkness seeping out of the place over her heart. The darkness unfurled into the fog, twisting, growing. And the imprisoned queen understood. This fog was not natural, nor was it evil magic. It was her. The darkness inside her had escaped. It was no longer a secret, and it would never be again. She looked out at the dying trees and remembered the snake's words so long ago. The Everwood is not as strong as it once was. Your darkness will bring out its own. As the crow had warned her, she was too late. Chapter 28. While Grandma is napping on Sunday, I hear the call of Jack's mourning dove and casually make my way to the living room windows, even though my heart is now a wild drum. Jack is across the river, mostly hidden by the trees. He waits a minute, then makes the mourning dove call again, then runs back to his house. Avery agrees to cover for me, and while she's talking to Grandpa about her latest painting, I sneak outside to check the post office. Inside, just like I hoped, I find a note from Jack. My queen, don't worry. I was careful by the post office. No one saw me. How are you? Not to be weird, but I've been watching your house from over here. Seems like no one's coming over as much as they did before. Cole and Bennett and me, we've been working on the Bone House when we can, but it's not the same without y'all. We used to go over there by ourselves all the time, but everything's different now. Meet me at the bridge tonight. Midnight. You need to get out of the house. Don't be scared. But I know you won't be. ARRRRR. Jack at 1145 Hart House is quiet and still. I sneak outside, pull on my sneakers, and listen to the leaves whispering, the train horn in the distance, and the call of a mourning dove. I squint into the darkness. A figure stands at the other end of the bridge, waving at me. Once I cross, Jack throws his arms around me. About Jack Bailey. Jack gives wonderful hugs, real hugs, like Mom's and Dad's hugs, like he never wants to let me go. My heartbeat is officially out of control. Somehow I speak. What are you doing? Of course, I do not manage to say anything intelligent. Jack gives me a look. Hugging you? It's a thing friends do. But why are you hugging me? Because I missed you. He does not seem embarrassed to say this. He says it like it is a plain and simple fact. You did? Yeah. Without you, trees are kind of boring now. The Everwood boring? How dare you? No offense. So, you escaped. We begin walking through the Everwood toward the wasteland. Barely. I kept thinking I would knock something over and wake everyone up. Nah, you're better at stealth than you think. Hey, let's take the long way. Why? Because I want to talk to you, that's why. Where's the long way? He points toward the part of the Everwood between his house and the wasteland. By the train tracks. I keep hearing a train at night. Yeah, it used to scare me when I was little. We crawl between a gap in an old fence at the eastern end of the wasteland. The grass is taller here, and it tickles my legs. Why did it scare you? I thought it was a monster, Jack says, rolling his eyes, and that it was coming to get me. I thought it roared because I'd done something to make it angry. Like what? I don't know. Dad always tells me I'm doing something wrong. I want more than anything to ask him about his dad and why he never talks about him. I want to know about Mrs. Bailey. I want to know about the loud noises that come from the Bailey house on quiet nights. But I do not want to ruin this moment with Jack. We walk in silence through another stretch of woods until we reach the train tracks. Jack helps me up onto the wooden fence running alongside them, and we gaze down the dark stretch of railroad. A train horn whistles down the tracks to our right, and Jack says, "When I figured out it wasn't a monster, that it was just a train, I started coming out to these tracks all the time." Why? To get out of the house. I sit and watch the tracks and imagine following them until I get somewhere else. Where? Jack shrugs. Anywhere but here, I guess. Would you take Cole and Bennett with you? Maybe. I don't think they'd make it on the road. Bennett's too little and Cole's too nice. He acts like he's tough, but he's not. What if we had to do bad things to survive? I don't think he'd be able to. Bad things. The Baileys, their dad, he wasn't a good kid. He did bad things. I wouldn't trust them for anything. The train horn sounds again. I feel cold, even though it is warm out. Jack looks at me. Do you ever think about running away? Not really. I don't want to leave my parents. They're nice? Yeah. They're always busy, and they're kind of weird, but I love them. Down the tracks, a tiny white light grows larger. That's cool to have nice parents, Jack says. You're lucky. I wish I could meet them. I am lucky. I know that. I am aware of the children across the world, even in my own city, who are poor or sick or hurt or orphans. Pretending to be a poor orphan girl is one thing. I would not actually want to be one. But Jack does not understand. I have nice parents. Yes, that is true. But I am full of sadness, and I wish I weren't, and I feel bad that I am. And my parents are they might be getting but I wouldn't have to say the word. Jack would understand. I wonder if Jack is mad at me for having nice parents, since I assume he does not. It does not seem particularly fair for him to be mad at me for that. It also is not fair that the Travers family is dead, that my world is filled with blue days, and that Jack seems to be hiding an unhappy secret too. The train is coming. I feel its approach in the fence. The wood vibrates against the bottoms of my sneakers. I get an idea, something to make Jack smile. Something to shake off the heaviness I can feel settling onto my shoulders and weaving into my chest. Go away, go away, go away. I jump off the fence. Come on, let's run for it. What? The train. It'll be here soon. Let's outrun it. You're crazy. Possibly. The horn sounds again, louder this time. Jack sits on the fence, watching the train approach. I shrug. Fine. I'm faster than you, and you're too chicken to admit it. I get it. Jack jumps down. No way is a queen faster than a pirate. You'll trip over your gown. You'll trip over your wooden leg. The train is almost on top of us. The horn is so loud that I want to cover my ears, but I don't. The chugging wheels make my bones shake. In about 5 seconds, you're going to be so embarrassed. Jack shouts over the noise. We'll see about that, I shout back, and as the train rushes past, I take off running. All I can see is the open dark path in front of me, train on one side, forest on the other. I imagine following the tracks for days, finding what lies at the end of them. By the time I got there, maybe I would have outrun my sadness forever. No more blue days. No more fear. The thought makes me dizzy, or maybe I am out of breath already. Jack shoots past me. I assumed he would beat me. His legs are longer than mine, and I am not an athlete like Kennedy. But I did not realize just how fast he would be. My lungs are on fire. I am pumping my arms through the air and pushing my legs faster than they have ever gone before. Still, I am not fast enough to catch Jack. He races on, and I think I see him reaching for the train. He will grab hold, jump on board, and leave this place behind forever like he has always dreamed. But then the train pulls ahead, and Jack falls behind. He throws up his arms to the sky and shouts. Gasping for breath, I stop beside him. I thought you were going to do it. I thought you'd leave, like you said. Jack looks after the train. It has disappeared into the darkness, but the sound of its horn floats back to us, reminding us it is there. Then he looks at me. Not without you, he says, and grins the Jack grin I know. Chapter 29. After that, things are quiet between me and Jack, like we traded all our words for running power and now have nothing left. Strangely, I do not feel the need to try to fill the silence with talking. Not this time. We walk back through the woods toward his house. Cicadas sing from the trees, and the sky is dusted with a million stars. My fingers brush against the tall grass, and once I think I feel Jack's fingers touch mine, but I am too nervous to look down and check. When we get back into the woods, everything is velvet. The sky, the still air, the soft earth. The trees blot out the moon. Jack holds back branches for me, and I do the same for him. He touches my hand again. I know it is real this time, and I hold on. I cannot look at him, but I don't let go, not even while we climb up the hill to his house. Well, Jack says when we get to the top. Yeah, I answer, and I'm probably supposed to go home now, but that seems unthinkable. 11-letter word for no way I am doing that. Jack? Is that you? Jack lets go of my hand. Dad? I turn and squint, see a man sitting in a lawn chair a little ways from the Bailey house. The flickering porch light buzzes. So this is Mr. Bailey. He does not look like a troll. Jack steps toward him cautiously. What's up? Enjoying the night, says Mr. Bailey. He takes a sip from a bottle of root beer. I recognize the orange label. Who's your friend? Jack relaxes, stuffs his hands in his pockets. This is Finley. We were just talking. Hey, Finley. Hard, isn't it? I nod. Nice night, don't you think? I glance at Jack. How are we not in trouble right now? Why is Mr. Bailey not marching Jack to bed this instant? Yes, sir. So polite. But then you hearts always were. Jack sits on the ground by his dad and waves me over. Can Finley stay for a while? Mr. Bailey laughs a little, raises his bottle in the direction of Hart House. Sure. Why not? No one's awake to see. I sit beside Jack and bring my knees to my chin. Dad's words keep coming back to me. I wouldn't trust them for anything. He did bad things. But Jack is leaning against his dad's leg, and Mr. Bailey puts his hand on Jack's shoulder, and I do not see how this could be a bad man, or why Jack would call him a troll. I love the woods best at night, Mr. Bailey says after a while. It's like you can hear the trees thinking. Jack nudges me. Tell him a story. What? One of the Everwood stories. Then Jack says, louder, Finley's a good writer. She has a whole notebook full of stories at her house. Really? Mr. Bailey actually sounds interested. What are they about? I stare at the ground. They're not very good. Shut up, Jack says. They're amazing. I glare at him. Jack thinks my stories are amazing. This is embarrassing, I mumble. No, it isn't. Come on, do your thing. Jack thinks it is so easy to just do things. To steal your neighbor's property so they will chase you. To hug your friend because you missed her. Mr. Bailey takes another drink. You don't have to if you're scared. Finley's not scared of anything, Jack says. She's the queen. Is that right? Mr. Bailey laughs a little. Of course she is. All those Hart girls are queens, didn't you know? Something about Mr. Bailey's words stings, like I have stepped into those pale green prickers hiding beneath the grass in the wasteland. Those Hart girls are my aunts, my cousins, my grandmother. We share blood. What does Mr. Bailey know about anything? Fine, I say sharply. I have a story about how the Everwood was first made, when the world was very young and full of magic. Would you like to hear that? Mr. Bailey throws his empty bottle into the weeds. Sure thing. Can't sleep tonight anyway. Maybe this'll help. He means that in a good way, Jack explains, lying back in the dirt. Reading relaxes him. I've been reading Tom Sawyer to him sometimes. You like that, right? I like it when you do their voices. Mr. Bailey reaches down to Jack, and Jack grabs his hand and squeezes. You're good at making me laugh. Jack smiles up at him. I take a deep breath and begin. Chapter 30. Apparently, Dr. Bristow does not want to sit in silence this week. She talks to me for about 5 minutes straight once my second appointment begins about her husband, the principal at the local middle school, her dog, a mutt of questionable origins with a fondness for shoes, and her taste in movies, a lot of science fiction. Then she leans back in her chair and sips her coffee. Am I terribly boring? I am shocked into speech. No. You can talk. I was starting to get worried. Sorry. No, don't apologize. There's nothing to be sorry for. I just thought, with me rambling on, you must have found me very boring and decided to keep quiet so maybe I would eventually stop talking. No, it's not that. I stop before I can say anything I will regret. How can I explain to her the truth? That I am sitting here not talking because I am afraid she will dig deep inside my thoughts and discover all my secrets, and maybe even more than that. Maybe things I don't want to know. Definitely things I don't want Grandma to know. I am not broken. I glance up at Dr. Bristow. She smiles and gives me a little nod. It's nothing. Really. Finley, I'm going to be frank with you. I like honesty, and I think sometimes adults decide not to be honest with children because they think doing so will protect them, but I don't agree with that philosophy. Every adult in my life seems to be keeping some kind of secret right now. The idea that there could be one who isn't is astonishing. Really? Really? Is that okay with you? Yeah, but you don't have to be honest with me back. I understand you don't know me very well yet. It's okay. I probably wouldn't trust me either. I relax and I realize I have been digging my fingers into the couch. Okay. So, as part of me being honest, I have to ask you something. Do you know why your parents and your grandparents decided to make you these appointments with me? Because I am not what they want me to be. Because I am a bad influence. Because they do not understand me. I am quiet and obsessive, and I like spending time alone. If only they knew there was even more to it than that. I am not certain my grandparents could understand the concept of blue days, a fear that comes over you in waves and wakes you up in the middle of the night, of heaviness that seems to grow from somewhere deep inside the universe. I think if I sat my grandparents down and tried to explain these things to them, they would say something like, "You're feeling a little out of sorts because of this nasty business with your parents. You're going through a phase. Everyone goes through phases. You're not making any sense, Finley." To maintain a sense of calm, I think of sitting in the cool dark with Jack and Mr. Bailey, telling stories about the Everwood. And I tell Dr. Bristow, no, and shrug. I don't know why. Your grandparents told me you're staying with them this summer because your parents are having some trouble. They're worried about you. They say you've gotten your cousins playing some dangerous games in the woods. They're not dangerous, I blurt out. The games. They're not dangerous. We're just playing. What do you play? I imagine explaining the Everwood to Dr. Bristow and almost laugh. You wouldn't understand. That's probably true. It'd be like when my husband tries to explain football to me. I know that's a terrible cliche, but it's true. He starts talking safeties and offsides and all the different kinds of penalties, and my eyes just kind of glaze over. Her effort to cheer me up is admirable, but it doesn't help. I am clamped tight again, like I was during my first appointment. Dr. Bristow wouldn't understand. My grandparents think she would. Maybe they even think they would, but they're wrong. The Everwood and the bone house and the train tracks and the fire and the 3 lonely gravestones. These are things for me and my cousins and the Baileys. No one else. It is not my place to tell the group's secrets to this stranger, no matter how kind she may appear to be. So even though it makes me intensely uncomfortable, I stare at the floor and refuse to acknowledge Dr. Bristow for the rest of my appointment. After a few minutes, she stops trying to talk to me, refills her coffee, and starts working on her computer, humming under her breath. For at least one more session, I am saved.